how we discuss this? The global sustainability challenge in large part relies on cities. पहले आपको ये करना होगा establish, and that this requires an urgent change in urban practices. So आपको पहले establish करना होगा. The first establish you have to do it. Yes, global sustainability depends on cities. So can you give me 2-3 reasons why this is being said? Why are we saying that global sustainability depends on cities? Why? Give me 3-4 reasons. Driver of climate change. Okay, fine. What else? Yes. So first point I'll say is the cities have a fair share of the total population pressure. The cities have a fair share of total population pressure. जैसे कि अभी इंडिया में अर्बनाइजेशन कितना है? About 30%, 35% अर्बनाइजेशन है. 1.4 billion का 30% is about how much? Okay, if you have कितना हो गया? It's about 400 million. Okay, if you look at India, it is 400 million people live in the cities. आज के एक आर्टिकल भी आया, by the way, an article of this Mr. Kant, क्या कांत है? अमिताभ कांत, no? नीति आयोग guy, Amitabh Kant, right? He has said this. He's part of the Sherpa line of talk in G20. He said, near future, India will have 500 million population in urban areas. Any idea what's the population of US? Anybody? 320, 350 million? इसका मतलब है, in India, urban areas alone will have about 2 US population approximately. So when you're planning for urban areas, this is a huge number. So first is, why are cities critical to global sustainability? Why? Because number one, cities have a very large share of pressure of population. और ये number data दिया करो. Okay, अभी 400 million India में है, and in the future, this will be more than 500 million. That's a lot of population. एक और example दे देना. Talk about US. US में urbanization is more than 90%. So if US has a population of 350 million, उसका 90%, okay, that's more than 300 million itself are in the urban areas. So if you want sustainable development of the world, एक तो ये reason है, ज़्यादा लोग यहाँ पर हैं. That's one. The second reason is cities are centers of very high intensity of resource use. These are energy intensive economies. These are water intensive economies. They use lot of these are having high population densities. Therefore, not just large population. यहाँ पर बहुत large densities भी हैं. Think of Singapore, think of Monaco city, think of Amsterdam, parts of Delhi. The density of population can be more than 5,000 per square kilometer. In parts of Singapore, it means almost as much as 10,000 people per square kilometer. This type of population will have very high intensity of water, and this can cause environmental problems. Water used directly, you will have problems of groundwater. Energy consumption, you directly will have a lot of emissions. Okay, the second point. The third point, why am I saying cities important, is that cities is where we have the bulk of pollution source. इसमें you must specify how you have the atmosphere. See, problem क्या है आपके answers में? What I'm seeing is you mention the broad head. आप आगे नहीं लिखते हो. Okay, that's a shallow information. So when you say atmospheric pollution, say there are emissions. So if you look at the greenhouse gases, okay. So greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide. Greenhouse gases is methane. It is N2O. Okay, ये आपके three. These are the non-fluorinated greenhouse gases. By the way, I hope you know the gases under the Kyoto Protocol. कौन-कौन से gases हैं covered under Kyoto Protocol? वो पता होना चाहिए as a GS. So these are the 3 non-fluorinated, and then we have fluorinated greenhouse gases, which are the chlorofluorocarbons, which is perfluorocarbons. We also have, I think, sulfur hexafluoride, and we have nitrogen trifluoride. Chlorofluorocarbons, we have got perfluorocarbons, okay, and we have sulfur hexafluoride, and we have nitrogen tetrafluoride. ये सारे इंडस्ट्रियल ग्रीन हाउस गैसेज हैं. ये अर्बन एरियाज में तो होंगे, और कहां पर होंगे? नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड, ये नॉक्स का पार्ट है, नॉक्स. Okay, this is again from the vehicular emissions. If you look at greenhouse substances like carbon monoxide, ये भी emission से ही आता है. Okay, this again is urban phenomena. If you look at SOx, SOx is again industrial. Okay, sulfur dioxide, disulfur dioxide, disulfur oxide, 2, 3, 4, 5 variants of SOx हैं. Okay, SOx also is an industrial pollutant. तो आप जब सिर्फ कहते हो ना population, urban areas have pollution, that is too bad. Specify why urban areas have pollution, what type of pollution. So urban areas, vehicular emissions, urban areas, industrial emissions, a primary source of nitrous oxide, primary source of carbon monoxide, primary source of the industrial gases, okay, primary source of your ozone depleting substances, ozone depleting substances. हो गया आपका atmospheric pollution हो गया. Then urban areas are reasons for the water pollution. Now again be specific, what type of water pollution? Industrial pollution जो आपका है, cadmium है, mercury है, you have got arsenic pollution, industrial, okay, you have got cadmium, lead pollution. It comes from the e-waste. E-waste से आता है. It comes from your solid wastes are a big source of pollution. Okay, solid waste includes, okay, all your electronic wastes, medical hazardous waste, nuclear wastes. Is it okay, all of you? Plastic waste, very high consumption of plastic wastes. So yes, so urban areas are source of pollution, atmospheric pollution, source of water and land contamination. Think of fly ash. Fly ash is one of the major components of your land water pollution. ये भी industrial pollution है. Fly ash. So if you're looking at global sustainability and you must control pollution, global sustainability, you must reduce, okay, energy intensity, global sustainability, reduce water use and say intensity. ठीक है? In fact, if you remember water, India में, for example, like about 5% is industrial usage of water. 95% of course is your agriculture contamination usage, but 5% in industrial usage of water. Put some data here. Okay, इसके अलावा what else? Urban areas also have high vulnerability to extreme events. Okay, डाल दो case study Delhi का 2023 Delhi floods. If you want sustainability, is also about, okay, disaster resilience. Is also about disaster resilience. Urban floods, bad drainage. Okay, we do not have. We have destroyed natural water sinks. Okay, you can talk about urban heat island for the cloud bursts. See, your answer has to be rich. Okay, rich में the specific terms must be there, examples must be there. Put a paragraph of case study of Delhi floods. Okay, so it's a La Nina year, but it has heavy rainfall because of western disturbances. Okay, heavy rainfall because of a low pressure system in the western part of India. Okay, rainfall in one day, okay, was more than 150. Okay, water accumulation in parts of Yamuna bank because of, okay, Yamuna bank encroachment. Okay, dam regulation, dam breach, Yamuna bank का breach है, flooding in ITO. इतने facts में आपका case study बन गया. So if you want sustainable development, Delhi-like conditions have been in. Okay, New York में भी हुआ है, Chicago में भी हुआ है, Houston में हुआ है, London has seen this. Okay, जो Canadian heat wave was an urban thing. Okay, the floods of Karachi was an urban thing. Okay, put a box. That's your case study. Sustainability, disaster resilience. Okay, yes, please link it to urban heat island. Absolutely correct. ठीक है, ये हो गया आपका. Now what else? What are the other components of sustainability? बताओ. Let's see. What are the components of sustainability? तो आप crowding बता दिया. Okay, you have talked about environmental issues. What else is sustainability? Urban areas, okay, are also areas of conflicts. Sustainability is also about security. It's also about collaborative, okay, community living, equity of resources. Urban areas have conflicts. Urban areas have high inequalities. क्लास डिवाइड बहुत प्रोमिनेंट है अर्बन एरियाज में. Okay, इंडिया फॉर एग्जांपल, इंडिया में okay, the slums account for more than 20-25% of the urban population. So 1/4 population of urban areas lives in slums or in slum-like unauthorized areas. Inequalities, अगर sustainable development चाहिए, you need to have equality also. Social equality चाहिए. But recent times में all the conflicts, racial conflicts हो गया, communal conflicts हो गया, okay, migrant distress है. All are elements of, okay, urban areas are also areas of illegal migrant population. Refugees का बहुत high percentage है. Okay. Next point. Sustainability का एक component है, okay, is also hunger and food insecurity. Hunger and food insecurity. Urban areas are among one of the most vulnerable in food security. Urban areas में we call this as hidden hunger. Okay, hidden hunger दिखता नहीं है, malnutrition है, lack of data है, illegal migrants हैं. Lot of urban population are rural to urban migrants. Rural to urban migrants. Show this in a diagram. Okay, how we have this. You can mention Ravenstein's laws. Okay, how urban areas are magnets for rural population because of the, your employment opportunities. Okay, so you have covered environmental problems. You have covered crowding. You have covered problems related to conflicts. Okay, problems related to slums. Fine. Okay. Therefore, you can say that. अच्छा, इसमें SDGs. So hunger वाला SDG जो है, sustainable habitat वाला SDG है. Okay, drinking water SDG जो है. Okay, SDG 1, 2, 11, all of them are related to urban areas. Women issues, absolutely yes. Okay, women issues be issue. So you have mapped it. Now, until then, you cannot say why urban areas are the important critical components of sustainable development. Okay, ये लिख दिया आपने. Therefore, okay, urban planning, urban development is critical component of, okay, global sustainability. Global sustainability. In fact, एक और case study मुझे याद आ रहा है. Urban areas also have very high water distress, okay, because of, again, lack of rainfall. So Cape Town example डाल सकते हो. I don't know if you know this or not. Cape Town is one of the most water stressed cities of the world. It is rapidly getting depopulated. So अगर water sustainability चाहिए, urban areas must work on those. Economic sustainability लेके जाएं, urban areas are entirely dependent on supply chain systems because urban areas don't produce their own food. Okay, so they depend on supplies. अगर supply काट दिया आपने, ना पानी मिलेगा, ना खाना मिलेगा, ना jobs मिलेगा आपको. So urban areas are elements. So now you can talk about what needs to be done. So ज़्यादा नहीं, brief में. So elements of urban planning which can help global sustainability. Elements of urban planning which can help global sustainability. Okay, I think you can talk about, okay, urban planning if you can take it towards garden city concept. Garden city concept जिसमें कि town country का mix होना चाहिए. Town country mix. Okay, there must not be only city elements like a modern city. It was a mix of country life. Okay, mix of urban life and country life. तो उसमें open spaces चाहिए. We need community space, open spaces, community spaces. Okay, we need to have urban forests, urban gardens, adequate housing. So garden city concept was given by Howard Ebenezer, Howard. Howard. For those who have been in the class, you can refer to your notes. Otherwise, देख लेना इसको. So he talks about the concept of three magnets. He says these are three magnet concepts in urban planning. There is a town-based planning. There is a country or rural-based planning, and there is a town-country planning. They call it three magnets. Sorry, wrong diagram हो गया. ऐसे, one magnet, a second magnet, and a third magnet. This is town-based planning. This is a country or a rural-based planning, and what you need is a town and country planning together. Because urban area hai, okay, we need to merge this and we need to merge this. Okay, magnets are what is the attraction, what is the basis of a planning. You need a town country mix karke. This was given by, this is the garden city concept given by Howard Ebenezer. He planned a city called as Letchworth near London. was planned like a garden city. Okay, यही concept अब वापस आ रहा है. Okay, in the concept of new urbanism. In the concept of new urbanism. New urbanism में urban planning is not just physical planning. So urban planning is not just a physical layout planning. Okay, it's not just about कि roads कैसे बनेंगे, कैसा housing होगा. No. Okay, new urbanism is also about community life. It's also about cultural diversity. It's also about environmental sustainability. Okay, it's also about open spaces and walkable cities. Open spaces and walkable cities. New urbanism is also about good governance. Good governance. Okay, this is part of India's mission. एक आपके इंडिया में है ना National Action Plan for Climate Change. This plan has 8 missions. One of the mission is National Mission for Sustainable Habitats. One of the missions are National Mission for Sustainable Habitats. 8 missions. Water mission है, इसमें agriculture mission है, इसमें solar mission है. Okay, green mission is there, forest habitat पे mission है. So we have done this. Okay, new urbanism includes TOD planning. TOD, which is transit oriented development. TOD is based on यही new urbanism. New urbanism. Okay, all of these are examples of sustainable development. और आप ये बता देना, अमोक कांत, no, अमिताभ कांत, I forget his name. Amitabh Kant, right? Okay, so Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant, today or yesterday he has said this. Okay, G20 का जो Sherpa, okay, one initiative जो है, one of them ने, he has said that Indian cities should not be designed for cars like American cities. That is a wasteful, that is unsustainable. The cities. Urban 20. What is Urban 20. Okay, please do that. ये current affairs मुझे याद आ गया, मैं बता दिया आपको. The cities must not be planned for cars. The cities must be planned for community life and walkable communities. I think I had the printout of with me. ये है ना. Amitabh Kant, Niti Aayog CEO. He says, a process of urbanization in India has just begun. As it braces for urbanization, India should not repeat the mistake of building cities for cars like in US. Okay, he says that urban planning has to be compact and dense. Now, if you know the clustering, Jane Jacob, सुना आप नहीं? There's a Jane Jacob, an American activist है. इन्होंने concept दिया था, urban planning should have clustering, means get people together, ताकि ज़्यादा खुला जगह मिलेगा आपको. The clustering model. Okay, so you have dense concentration and more open spaces. Okay. That urban planning has to be compact and dense. It has to be walk to work and must be based on around public transportation. So it says urban development should not mean carbonization of cities. Urban development should not mean carbonization of cities. का मतलब क्या है? ऐसा डेवलपमेंट करो कि कार्बन एमिशंस कम जाए. So if you make cities for cars, you'll have more carbonization. You make cities for walking communities. Make sense, all of you? So now, if you can bring in this angle also, you know, in your Glasgow summit, COP26 में, we gave the concept of life. Okay, life concept क्या है? Basically, lifestyle for sustainable environment. Lifestyle for environment, right? This is a lifestyle for environment. Lifestyle for environment. And this probably has best relevance in urban areas. कि urban life ऐसा होना चाहिए that it has to be environmental friendly. Your urban life has to be energy efficient. Your urban life must be water efficient. Urban life should be least waste generation. The circular economy है urban life में most important है. The circular economy is a very important component of urban development. I think we manage now. Any question urban problems now? Yeah, straight question पूछेगा आपको urban problems में. Read all the references here. ठीक है? So the whole idea is that please do not simply mention a keyword and leave it. उसको substantiate करो. Otherwise discussion कहाँ बचा? We just say yes, I agree because urban area has pollution, because urban area has crowding, urban area has problem of water, therefore it's important. इसमें discussion थोड़ी बना आपका. You have to be specific, some data, some examples, draw a diagram, bring in a concept which is a geographical concept, a technical concept. New urbanism is a geographical concept. A garden city concept is a geographical concept. A clustering model is urban development concept. A life डाला आपने, current affairs बनाया इसको आपने. Then your answer is the rich answer. ठीक है? Okay, then let's move on. Let's see if you can understand this or not. Actually, settlements almost done. 2-3 questions. Satellite towns, write the question please. Satellite towns are economically sustainable. Satellite towns are economically sustainable with a slight social sustainability, but not environmentally sustainable. Illustrate with examples. Question पढ़ो. मन तो कर रहा है यार आपको ना खुद ही लिखने बोलूं and write a proper answer. With just that time constraints में, okay, I give you some time and then move on quickly. ऐसे questions you cannot say नहीं आता. Satellite towns are economically sustainable with slight social sustainability, but not environmentally sustainable. Illustrate with examples. Maybe make 3 columns बना लो पहले. Tell us why it is economically sustainable, tell us why it is slightly socially sustainable, and why it is environmentally not sustainable. बता दो 4-3 point बता दो and you are done. Then we'll talk about the structure of the answer. People, don't give me one word please. एक word से मेरा answer नहीं बनेगा ना. Give me a list of what you mean by economically sustainable. Give me a list of what you mean by slight social sustainability, and then tell us why you think they are not environmentally sustainable. I'm not looking at your inputs बिल्कुल भी. Vipul and RJ. एक word गिरा देते हो. इसमें मैं क्या discussion करूं? Give me the entire list. The generators of economic momentum. बस बैठ जाओ उसके बाद क्या करना है? कुछ भी नहीं पता उसके आगे. ना example पता होगा ना data पता होगा. Give me some detailed discussion. No? Don't just tick off. Why is forest conservation important? लिखो for 250 words. आप एक word डाल दोगे. Lungs of the earth. क्या करोगे उस एक phrase? Yeah. And please do keep in mind 1 or 2 examples of each. Which are the satellite towns which have been economically sustainable? In the context of Delhi, what do you think? क्या example लिख सकते हो? A satellite town with respect to Delhi that has been economically sustainable. Satellite town of Mumbai that has been economically sustainable. Okay. और आपको बताना पड़ेगा why, how, कैसे है. Discussion है. Remember this. What do you mean by social sustainable का मतलब क्या है? What do you mean by social sustainability? Which is what? Basically, it's about community life. Okay, it's about maybe cultural diversity. Okay, less conflicts. ये होगा आपका. What else? When you say social sustainability, what else? Slums होंगे नहीं होंगे? नहीं होंगे. Okay, relatively maybe कम होगा, but slums is not so much social alone. Economic dimension भी है. But ठीक है, fine, point taken. A social sustainability includes whether you'll have adequate housing or not, whether there are affordable and accessible health care or not, whether there are affordable, accessible, equitable education systems or not. What is the type of women empowerment? Is that sustainable or not? Okay, social dimension बताया ना आप. Okay, ठीक है. So one is interactions, community life. Okay, some element of culture, some element of traditional touch होना चाहिए. That's a part of socially sustainable. Plus the elements of social development. Education है, health, okay, social diversity है, women issues, yes. वो किस में आएगा? First, second, third किस में आएगा? Economic वाले में आएगा, social में आएगा या environmental में आएगा? Give me example. How is it social? What is the greenfield project? Not simply a new project, no? From scratch. So how is this a social element? Okay. From scratch करोगे तो क्या कर रहे हो? Basically आप land acquire करोगे, वहाँ jobs मिलेगा शायद. Okay, maybe local participation होगा, that sense maybe. तो आपको justify करना होगा कि why is a greenfield project is a good element of social and economic development. Because basically land acquisition है. Okay, there is augment of income for the local population. there is local participation in the development, job creation है, उसको वैसे लेके जाओ, the livelihood issues are taken care of. So your point is right, but justify that. ठीक है, very nice. और एग्जाम्पल पता है जयपुर, आपको पता है क्या बोला आपने, खातीपुर, खातीपुरा स्टेशन, प्लीज टॉक अबाउट इट. बट इज खातीपुरा रीजन अ सैटेलाइट टाउन? ओके फाइन, ठीक है. अब पॉइंट ये है, इट इज सेइंग स्लाइटली सोशल सस्टेनेबल का मतलब क्या है? इट इज स्लाइटली सोशल बिकॉज okay, ultimately satellite towns do not have a very robust municipal or an urban governance system. ये फिर भी ट्रेडिशनल होंगे ना, पुराने हैं, इतना इनका मॉडर्न नहीं है in terms of governance. Okay, so rules, regulation, bylaws ये इतने फॉलो नहीं किए जाते हैं. Therefore, ultimately they will have housing problems. Okay, a lot of satellite towns can have again rising inequalities. There can be conflicts. Okay, migrant population can also result in conflicts. So हमेशा sustainable नहीं है. Okay, many satellite towns are traditional centers. तो वहां पर issues of women issues आएगा. Okay, as they grow very fast, a small town growing very fast, it can't keep pace with the health infrastructure. It can't keep the education schooling system can't keep pace with rapid urbanization. In what ways? ओके, ठीक है, कोई एग्जाम्पल है तो आप लिख देना उसमें. But our point is, थोड़ा बहुत adequacy है. They can have some amount of healthcare. They can have some amount of education systems. By and large, long run में they will go short of this. That's why satellite towns में for health, for education, okay, in jobs के लिए ultimately people must migrate out. That's why they are slightly socially sustainable. Long term में they नहीं होते हैं. They can't keep pace. Okay, जैसे कि गुड़गांव और गाजियाबाद और फरीदाबाद, they ultimately have lot of crowding, congestion, lack of planning. They can be areas of conflicts also. से मुजफ्फरनगर है, conflicts हुआ है, riots हुए हैं. मोदी नगर में riots हुए हैं around Delhi. ठीक है, these areas can have low sex ratios. Okay, urban areas हैं, some technologies are there but not really developed mindsets. All the satellite towns of Haryana around Delhi have this problem, right? Overall, Haryana का ही less than 850 है sex ratio. It shows that socially sustainable नहीं है. Is it okay, all of you? With examples बताना है आपको. Okay. Why are they not environmentally sustainable? Okay. Satellite towns में, okay, so satellite town again lacks governance. As they grow very fast, okay, water shortages, okay, you'll have waste collection and disposal challenges. Appropriate landfills नहीं होते हैं. Okay, because of their proximity with the urban areas, बड़े urban areas, these areas can develop polluting industries. Okay, यहाँ पर discharge water में है, so e-waste they become landfills. Yes, और जो agriculture areas around हैं, okay, they are also not well regulated because of high demand of okay agriculture products. They start using unsustainable agriculture methods. Okay, high land use intensity होगा ना around these areas, और remember regulation नहीं है यहाँ पर. So no regulation, so high pesticides, high insecticides, intense water usage. Okay, crowding है, lack of planning है. You'll have traffic congestions, high emissions, urban heat domes बनते हैं, urban pollution domes बनते हैं. Yes, absolutely, encroachments into wetlands. So these satellite towns become locations of urban sprawl. You'll have environmental problems. Example, I think Jaipur का जानते हैं, जयपुर के पास में the city called as Tonk. Tonk has very high levels of industrial pollution. Tonk Kota, industrial pollution, river pollution. वहाँ पर चंबल के systems निकलते हैं. Okay, you have the Chambal River nearby, very highly polluted. Okay, talk about Delhi, a satellite town like Agra, huge Yamuna pollution. Okay, Delhi and Faridabad, kabhi Faridabad was satellite town. Okay, you have got very huge industrial pollution. Ghaziabad is actually a landfill. Okay, there are two major landfills. Okay, जो garbage dump yards हैं, they are not environmentally sustainable. Is it okay? So यहाँ पर reason क्या है? The satellite town is in the vicinity of a large city. So it has all the advantages of location, but disadvantage of governance. So land prices यहाँ कम होंगे compared to a large city. ठीक है? Take an example. Okay, Delhi Alwar. Case study में Faridabad Alwar is a major area of Aravali's mining. Aravali's में sand mining. Aravali's का deforestation and environmental unsustainability. Rapid declining water table. So draw Delhi, draw Alwar. कल का जो डायग्राम बनाया था ना, वो आपका ऑलमोस्ट मास्टर डायग्राम है टाइप्स. यू कैन यूज इट अक्रॉस मेनी डिस्कशंस. ये यमुना रिवर ऐसे बना देना आप लोग. समवेयर हियर जाकर शो आगरा इज हियर. ओके, दिस इज द गुड़गांव, दिल्ली, जयपुर. Okay, and you can show this city called as Alwar. Alwar. आप northwards जाएं, we have this मेरठ वाला highway है, and show cities like Modi Nagar. Okay, extensions हैं. This is Meerut. Meerut is a satellite town, और यहाँ पर congestion problems हैं. This is the Chandigarh road. Show Panipat, Sonipat. Okay, Karnal, and problems of agriculture. Okay. Land use intensity increasing here. You're done. 2-3 examples with diagrams. Panipat, Sonipat, ये rice, agriculture, rice mills हैं, agriculture processing units हैं, food processing units हैं. Okay. So these areas will have a very high land use intensity in agriculture. मतलब you're using more water, using more pesticides, more chemicals. You'll have agriculture-based contamination in this belt. यहाँ पर industrial pollution है. दिल्ली, फरीदाबाद, आगरा. ये आगरा है, so this is फरीदाबाद, आगरा, बुलंदशहर. Industrial pollution in these parts. I hope you've understood what I mean by draw regional maps, give examples. Okay, so you know Jaipur. Okay, what a place to talk about. लिखो उसके बारे में. All good here. In fact, if you know, fine. Otherwise, you can also talk about, ऐसे कुछ. I think something like this is Mumbai. This southern part is Kolaba. Kolaba यहाँ पर है. In this side, इसी यहाँ पर वर्सोवा. This side is Thane. This is called as Thane Creek. Thane Creek. This is central Mumbai here. इधर आप जाओगे तो you have got Goregaon. Okay. You can show this also. Those of you know a bit of Mumbai, you can draw this diagram of Mumbai. Okay. यहाँ पर कहीं पर you have this Elephanta Caves, Salsette Islands. Elephanta Caves. Sorry, ये किधर बनाए? ये होगा ऊपर ही होगा. Yes. I mean, I don't remember exactly. When I was preparing, I was studying this. तो ऐसे कुछ है आपका. Okay, Nariman Point on this side. I think यहीं पर वो आर्क भी है. Yeah? हाँ, इसी तरफ है. So please एक बार देख लेना आप लोग if you can. So I have 2-3 such maps. Okay, you can then probably yes, इधर ही होगा. Harbor area जो है, I think Chembur वगैरह somewhere here हो. Chembur, Malad. Okay, so this area. So have a look, please. I didn't remember to work on this for your class. Okay, इतना बना के then tell us कहाँ pollution है नहीं है. So Delhi you know fairly well now, 2 classes. So see if you can work on this. Yes, please. आपके पास है? Please use it. Absolutely very nice. बेलापुर क्या पूरा harbor line का जो extension है. Please mention this. Very nice. The Belapur industrial area near Thane, Raigad. ये region Raigad region. It used to be a separate satellite town, Raigad. अब मिलके एक बृहन मुंबई बन गया है. Raigad, R-A-I-G-A-D, Raigad. This says that Belapur industrial regions, all the waste goes into this water body called as Thane Creek. Thane, ये सब mangrove forest हुआ करते थे. Now largely destroyed. Thane Creek. ठीक है? तो satellite towns are economically sustainable. समझ में आता है आपको? Local economy है, labor force है, you have its own local market है. Plus satellite town has the advantage of the large city also. So innovations भी आता है. You also have financial investments. So satellite towns are sustainable on their own. Gurgaon का example है. You have examples of Faridabad. Okay, so they develop their own economy. They develop their own local market. And satellite towns का एक बहुत बड़ा advantage है that they have a long history behind them. So they have traditional crafts, traditional production systems. Think of Mysore का अपना sandalwood carving industry है, incense sticks industry है, and that's sustainable even now. Moradabad brass industry अभी भी sustainable है. ठीक है all of you? So economically sustainable, yes. Social sustainable, okay, yes, partly. Otherwise, they have the problems of congestion. Okay, traditional society, and environmentally they have problems. Having said this, अब solutions में आएंगे. The solution is that urban cities must be developed, okay, as a part of large agglomerations की planning होनी चाहिए. Cities are best developed if they're developed as a part of a large regional plan. not one city alone. आप एक बड़ा region करना पड़ेगा. Think of Delhi NCR regional plan. You need a master plan for land acquisitions, okay, for land donations. The planning must include good connectivity between cities. Good connectivity between cities. Okay. Urban areas में they should be integrated waste collection and disposal system. Integrated waste collection and waste disposal systems. Okay. There must be focus on public transport and mass rapid transport systems, MRTS, like metros or ring rails or expressways, bus corridors, ताकि emissions कम है आपका. Okay. Water management में again you require an integrated water planning. Think of what we are trying under Namami Gange. The entire river basin is being planned, not simply one city, not just Varanasi. करना होगा complete integrated river planning, like Namami Gange project. So STPs, industrial waste collection, okay, controlling agriculture wastes so that the city becomes sustainable. Okay, this topic is done. एक और question लिखवा, read another question. The concentric zone model explains urban social structures. The concentric zone model explains urban social structures in terms of socio-economic clusters. Urban social structures in terms of socio-economic clusters grouped in concentric city around the city center. Discuss. I am reading out again, okay? The concentric zone model explains the urban social structures in terms of socio-economic clusters. The social structures हैं, they are like social economic clusters grouped in a concentric city around the city center. Question समझ में आ रहा है all of you? What do you mean by social structure of a city? What do you mean by social structure of a city? It means the social composition, and there is some organization. There is a hierarchy maybe. There is grouping maybe. Urban areas are never homogeneous in terms of their social composition. उसमें कुछ groups होते हैं, उसमें कुछ arrangement होता है. Rich, poor, local migrants. It could be services and maybe manufacturer laborers. There could be rich people and the poor people. So there is a social structure, and the social structure is like a concentric ring. It's a rings of bands of people living like rings. So only rich people, only poor people, only migrants, only the traditional old rich population. So the social structure is like concentric rings around the city center. So my question, all of you, after all the discussions we have had for as many days, I am forcing you to think on understanding what a question means. A question समझ में आएगा तब ना अटैक करोगे आप. Otherwise तो you are, आप question देखा, concentric zone familiar word है, चालू हो गया लिखने के लिए Burgess model. You don't want that. Okay. First, do you agree urban areas have a structure? Yes, they do have a structure. Okay, means there is some kind of social segregation. There's some type of social differences. So what does social structure mean? There is social segregation, there is social arrangement, there is social differentiation. Okay, और कैसा होता है differentiation? It could be class based, it could be race based, it could be cultural based. Okay, class based, it could be occupation based. Industrial workers, maybe blue collar job workers, white collar job workers. Blue collar, basically company workers are called as blue collar, because in the past these factories would have people who would put on blue shirts. अभी भी बहुत company light blue shirt होता है, is called as blue collar job. So they are basically worker class. ठीक है? White collars, the executives, they put on white shirts. ठीक है? So there is a social differentiation, a social separation है, either in terms of class, in terms of occupations, in terms of cultures, migrants versus local population. और ये जो differentiation है, ये concentric rings around the city center. ठीक है? अब सोचें आप. I've explained the question. Now you tell me how will you develop this? And you must think with an example. There are four reasons. The पहला point, is there a social structure? Yes. अगर urban area है, you are bound to have urban, even rural areas for that matter. कुछ ना कुछ structure population में there will be some differentiation. So yes, there is a social structure, one. Second is the social structure concentric ring or not? Yes. अब concentric ring होने का वजह क्या है? Why do we have concentric rings? Because the concentric zonation model was an assumption of isotropic surfaces. कि हर जगह surface flat है. Because of flat surface, जो भी pattern बनेगा, it will be circular. Because the distance decay function is uniform in all directions. The distance decay function, the land prices will proportionately decline, okay, at the same rate in all directions. तो yes, concentric होगा ही होगा. ये एक point हो गया. Second point है ये differentiation क्यों होता है? One is because of land prices. Okay, land cost is high at the city center. Land cost is high. Okay. One. Number two, the city center, the CBD is like a magnet. It attracts labor class. It attracts labor class. It attracts worker class. So there is congestion. There is congestion around the CBD. There's congestion around the CBD. Okay. This congestion around CBD forces the rich populations to move out. It forces the rich populations to move out. What is called as the biological process of invasion and succession. It's like a biological thing. A new life form comes in, the old life form has to move out. The ecological niche में अगर दो लोग आ गए, one must move out. So crowding हो गया, the poor guy will not go from there. He will stay there. He will push the rich man out. He'll push the more affluent populations who want larger areas, extensive land use, to get pushed out. And pushed out, why? Because the rich population can afford large lands in the peripheral areas. So they have extensive land use periphery में, and as you move towards the CBD, you've got very high intensity land use. तो इसमें segregation हो जाता है. So one is isotropic surface, uniform in all directions, so they become circular. Okay, then why do we have this separation? Why? Because it's crowding near the CBD, forcing the rich people to move out. Invasion and succession. Okay. The next reason is it can also be because of the administrative and municipal laws. Administrative and municipal laws that restrict land use within municipal limits. Beyond municipal limits, in the peripheral areas of the city, the rich population can own more land and have liberty of extensive land uses. They can own more land, liberty of extensive land uses, and freedom for their personal home planning. So city के अंदर में अगर पैसे भी हैं, laws will not allow you to develop in certain ways. I can't make 2 basement or 3 basement. I cannot make a vertical house beyond 2 or 3 floors. I must have this compliance, that compliance. So the rich population prefers moving out in the outskirts. They buy a lot of land and they have extensive land use without much of regulations. The pattern जो बन रहा है, the pattern is a consequence of isotropic surface. The pattern is because of congestion around the CBD, forcing rich people to move out. The pattern is because of lax administration governance rules that gives the rich population more freedom to decide their land use practices around the city. ठीक है? And as said, planning elements भी हैं, such as ring road patterns, ये planning element है. Radial city patterns, ये planning elements हैं. Okay, these planning elements can also force concentric zonation. Planning elements can also force concentric zonation. Okay, this was Burgess' model. You can add next. However, in reality, the social structures around the city are not always concentric patterns. The social structures are not always concentric patterns. They can be sectoral patterns. So, 3 variant possible hai. They can be sectoral patterns. Okay, so for example, Delhi NCR mein, the low income group lives along the low income and the worker class lives more along the Delhi Faridabad Agra sector. Delhi Faridabad Agra. Is sector mein you'll have more of the worker class population. Okay, similarly, along the Meerut road, you'll have more of worker population. Okay, the more affluent population live along the Delhi-Jaipur highway. They are like sectoral patterns. So not always concentric, but they can be sectoral. One. Number two, the pattern can be relatively more random. Relatively more random. And why random? Because of urban sprawl. Urban sprawl will not have a specific shape. So wherever land is available, there are rural areas, land availability, rural areas, okay? Rural areas will result in social segregation. Will result in social segregation. तो slums के population जो होते हैं, okay, not always near the CBD. Slum populations need not always be near the CBD. There can be peripheral slums. They can be leapfrog slums. Peripheral slums and leapfrogging slums. And third is that in many cases, when a city expands and a new CBD develops, what we call as outlying CBDs or the colonial CBDs. Okay, the older CBD or the old town, can have poorer population, more traditional societies, and the new CBD can have the more richer population and the more affluent migrants. The richer population and the more affluent migrants. Okay, so agar koi city hai, one city here, so in this city, maybe this is the old city, and say these are the planned extensions. So now there is segregation. The old city will have more poverty, more congestion, more traditional one, and the new city, this expand ho raha hai. This is more affluent, this is more planned. This sectoral thodi hai hamesha. It's not always concentric. This we can see in many parts of the colonial cities of India. There is a bazaar area which has the native population, and we have the English colonial expansions. तो यहाँ पर आपको civil lines दिख जाएगा. Civil lines. Here you can see planned extensions for the urban rich population. These areas will have more of English towns, and these areas जो old bazaars हैं, these are the more native populations. They are more local. So this is an example of a social segregation which is based on race. So social segregation is not always concentric. We can see this in case of Kolkata. I do not know much of Bhopal. Agar example hai, to please draw and show it. Kolkata, this native town is the Howrah. Again, this part is the Park Street. The Esplanade, this area is Park Street. The Park Street or the area around Esplanade. That is Howrah. Gurgaon mein bhi aise hi hai. Old Gurgaon and New Gurgaon. Old Faridabad and New Faridabad. Old Delhi and yes, Hyderabad mein bhi aise hi hoga. So please, I repeat, please pick up example from own cities. Draw your approximate sketch. Agar Delhi ka map bana sakte hain, to North Delhi, and you have the gentrification of the South Delhi. It's not always a concentric circle. Okay, so this is the old Delhi, North Delhi, old Delhi, Central Delhi hai. Okay, and this is the parts of the gentrification, not always concentric. This is the older population, not as influential, not as rich population, and this area has all the rich class population. Take all of you done. So start the answer by yes, there is a pattern. Tell us why, the 4 reasons I've talked about. In reality, the pattern can be not always concentric. With examples always. Keep the topics in mind. जो मैं करा रहा हूँ. Okay, you have done urban morphology, you have done urban problems. Okay, you have taken care of rural-urban fringe discussions, like urban migration, urban planning. So let those topics be in your mind. Okay, sustainable cities, concentric zonation. Okay, let us see this one. Write a question. Discuss and propose a model for sustainable rural production. Discuss and propose a model for sustainable rural production with focus on contributing to both, put a hyphen, financial and environmental aspects. Contributing to financial and environmental aspects. एसेंशियली मैं कह रहा हूं कि एक रूरल डेवलपमेंट का मॉडल बताओ, ओके, विच इज बोथ इकोनॉमिकली सस्टेनेबल and appropriate and also environmentally sustainable and appropriate. Discuss and propose a model for sustainable rural production and focus on the problems and focus on the solution that provides both. देखो ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को ना मेंटली कैसे हैंडल किया जाता है. You must have a logical method how a topic opens up. जैसे आपको बताया that satellite cities are economically sustainable, slightly social and not environment. What I did, I took up the 3 words और लिस्टिंग करा दिया मैंने. सब ऐसे भी ऐसे लिखना कि yes, satellite towns are economic sustainable. 2-3 points with example diagram done. Yes, satellite towns are slightly social sustainable. 2-3 point discussions. Why slightly? Because of this example drawing, you are done. Third, but not environment sustainable. Explain that. And the 4th point will be solutions kya hai? How can we make regional planning and so on. So you must have a method in aap topic kholte kaise hain. This question that we had right now about your consenting zonation. Okay, so I thought through ki bhai social structure hai ya nahi? Yes. The pattern looks circular? Yes. Because of the model and 4 facts. Third one, but in reality it is not always circular. What are the examples? Okay. Conclusion, you must have a planning and solutions on something. So agar aapko kholna aa gaya question, ek to understand the question, second is how do you open it up. That becomes your structure. This question is asking us, tell us a model, propose a model for sustainable rural production. And as a production, I mean what? I mean the rural economic activity. It also mean rural land use patterns. It also mean a rural construct, any production. Okay. So rural economy ka batao, rural morphology batao. Okay, talk about the rural structure so that it is both environmentally and economically sustainable. Okay. If I've opened up this one, dikkat honi nahi chahiye. Like say the first is rural production implies, give me some points. There are rural industries, there are rural agricultural activities, there are rural service functions. Banking, rural banking bhi hota hai, rural schools bhi hain, okay, rural agriculture trading centers bhi hain. So what is rural production? Okay. So for a sustainable rural planning, we must plan for the agriculture, plan for location of rural industries. We must plan for industrial related environmental problems, maybe emissions, maybe discharge of waste, maybe source of raw material. Economic sustainability, enough of local jobs hona chahiye. Economic sustainability, there must be proper value addition in the rural production. So agriculture value addition hai, manufacturing value addition hai. It must create local jobs, local livelihoods. It must cater to the economic and the social needs of the rural population. So health issues hai, schools hai, training centers hai for new skills acquisitions. You make a list of pehle. What do I mean by sustainable rural economic and environmental issues? Rural areas ke groundwater hai. Groundwater must be used wisely. Okay. Groundwater pollution control hai. Okay. Rural areas can have droughts and floods also. So floods and droughts management. I'm giving you all the keywords. Okay. Rural areas and forests bhi honge. Okay. Drinking water supply, energy, rural energy needs. So you must keep your IRDP model in mind. If I was thinking, I'll think in terms of IRDP. Rural connectivity, rural roads, rural connectivity, rural power, electricity, energy, okay, rural drinking water, all the components of integrated rural planning, okay, rural health, rural education. Basically, I'll think through for agriculture. Okay, we need a doubling of farmers' income, sustainable agriculture, integrated agriculture planning, livestock, crop planning, okay, watershed, micro irrigation, farm food to fork concept. ठीक है. Recent times में अगर मैं add करूँ case study, talk about the stubble burning problem as a case study. So rural areas, one big environmental problem in recent times. One is the groundwater depletion. You can draw a map of a state like Punjab. I think मैंने discuss किया है आपको पहले पंजाब का. कहाँ contamination है, कहाँ पर groundwater loss rapid है. Remember Faridkot, Pathankot, We talked about Patiala, Bhatinda, Southern Punjab. I think I gave you a map while discussing environment issues. Draw that map and show कि rural areas में ये problems होते हैं. अब आ गया raw material आपके पास आ गया. Now let's organize the answer. Let's organize the answer. So one important aspect is you should know what are the problems of rural areas in production systems. The problems are there is no proper land donation, there is no proper land use planning, there is high rural to urban migrations, there is repeated crop failures, environmental problems जो भी हैं आपके, ठीक है? Low social development, education, health issues, gender issues, demographic issues. तो ये आपका canvas बन चुका. Now put them as a part of a structure. So look at my structure here. I'll start with, okay, one is what are the problems and challenges of a rural economy and a rural society. ये पहला discussion है कि ये problems हैं. अगर data add करना है, there are high inequalities in most of the development parameters. In most of the development parameters, rural areas are the backward regions. Okay. Their average income is less than the nation's median income. Okay. Demographic achievements जो हैं, at least 15 से 20% कम होगा. All demographic achievements are less. There's high degree of seasonal unemployment. Okay. You pick up land use problems, issues हैं. That's one. Number two. For sustainable rural production, what are the priority areas? The agriculture is a priority area, then livelihood, sustainability for the entire year, because agriculture mein kya hoga, you'll have seasonal employment. I need a consistent, sustainable rural income for the entire year. Connectivity is a priority area, or resources में water planning is very important, and energy. अब तो आपको लगता है 2-3, maybe I can also add, maybe we also need to take care of agriculture disaster vulnerability. So floods and droughts are a very big concern. These 5 are, say, typical plan जब बोलते हैं, what should a plan have? A plan must have a vision or a mission statement. A plan must have an objective. A plan must have the priority areas. Plan must have what are the initiatives. ऐसे होना चाहिए आपका answer. So I've started with what are the priority areas. I'll say sustainable rural production planning. इसका objectives क्या होगा? Environmental sustainability, water land का quality maintain होना चाहिए. There must be a robust economic sustainability, continuation of economic sustainability, and high social development. Education, health are the priority areas, and maybe women issues. This is my vision, my objective. These are the priority areas. You're writing like a document for planning. याद रखने आप. Document for planning. Okay. So now one by one. Okay. So you can group maybe agriculture issues along with maybe agriculture distress. दोनों को मिलाकर, disaster issues मिलाकर. One is proposed agriculture-based land use planning. You know all the keywords, agroclimatic planning, integrated planning, climate smart agriculture, okay, crop and non-crop diversification, basically elements of green revolution, but with ecological sustainability. Elements of green revolution with ecological sustainability. Can we take up the example of Ralegaon Siddhi? Okay, so please, your example, say this is Maharashtra, something like this. Okay, so this is Mumbai here, Ahmednagar, Aurangabad region, ये वाला. Aurangabad is what? Sambhaji Nagar, right? What is it? नाम change हुआ है? Sambhaji Nagar? Says, yeah? Chhatrapati Sambhaji. Okay, fine. So Ahmednagar change नहीं हुआ है अभी. Okay, so my name is intact for some time more. Okay, yes, पापा जी का गांव था शायद, I don't know. ठीक है? So Ralegaon Siddhi is Ahmednagar district. Ralegaon Siddhi. It's agriculture, environment को साथ में डाल दो आप. Sustainability. Okay. Second component, take up connectivity. So rural roads program. Pradhan Gram Sadak Yojana. All weather roads, pakka roads. Okay. Local material, local labor, Most of this road development work has been integrated with Narega, job creation. Roads are part of what's called as durable rural assets. Durable rural assets. Okay, fine. The third is water management. Water management का दो component है, drinking water management and agriculture irrigation water management. Drinking water management and agriculture irrigation water. तो इसमें you can add प्रधानमंत्री कृषि सिंचाई योजना and accelerated drinking water mission. Water tap connection for all, part of SDG commitment है. Water tap in all households. Okay, एक जल जीवन मिशन है ना, if you are aware of this, जल जीवन मिशन. Okay, and see, I must bring in geography wherever I can. Okay, so यहाँ हम लिखेंगे, sorry, यहाँ हम लिखेंगे that for water management we need conjunctive surface and groundwater management. Conjunctive together, surface and groundwater management. So do talk about now Atal Bhujal Yojana, NAQUIM. You know about NAQUIM, National Aquifer Mapping. Okay, you have got this program of for the most water stressed districts of India. River canal linking बहुत दूर की बात है शुभम. अब बाकी programs की बात करें. River linking is too big deal. आपको दिया था ना, the 7 states. आपको कैसे बताया, right? Yes, correct. So you're talking about UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, MP. याद आ रहा है आपको ये वाला discussion? So the program for the most, I think 87 high water distressed districts across 7 states of India. Okay, as a part of agriculture, groundwater sustainability. So you can draw that map, Western India ka map. I don't have that document right now with me. Groundwater में discuss किया है. Atal, yes, Atal Bhujal Yojana. Okay, so mapping and 20 water. Okay, not 87. I'm sorry. ये तो data अलग हो गया. So yes, I've talked about this. You please check up your water issues under environment issues. I've talked about this, please. The 20 water stressed cities. Yes, ठीक है. Please add of all of that. So आप अपना agenda देखो. What all agenda we had while discussing. Okay, what were the priority areas? Agriculture कर दिया आपने. Agriculture you have done. Along with agriculture distress you have done. You're taking care of water issues. Okay, ये जो livelihood sustainability है. So this can come with agriculture and agriculture processing units. Okay, plus rural industries, agriculture industrial units and agriculture processing units. Plus involving the rural population in sustainable livelihood. जैसे कि नरेगा type of programs. ठीक है? And of course, then talk about social development, education, health. Now, ये आपका elements गिना दिया. Now, our discussion towards geography will be that sustainable rural development requires number one, again, same idea, an integrated regional plan of rural areas along with adjoining urban, okay, along with adjoining urban centers. So rural urban का होना चाहिए integrated development, because there is some element of dependency between the two. Okay, we must anticipate the expansion of rural urban fringe so that land acquisition, land diversion of rural areas is not uneconomical and not environmentally unsustainable. So urban rural areas must be developed as a part of an integrated system. Okay? The development of rural areas must also include social development components, women, children, health, education, and all of this part of integrated rural development. You're done. So आपको एक model propose करना है. What does a planning model look like? Okay. One last question. The evolution and growth of rural settlements. Is related to social, political, and economic conditions of the past. The evolution and growth of rural settlements is related to social, political, and economic conditions of the past. Explain. What does economic condition mean? The economic, okay, occupations. So agriculture decides. Okay. What does the social conditions mean? Caste difference hai, religious differences hai, yeah, diversification hai. There are occupational differences. Okay? There's a historical basis also. And what does the political conditions mean? Governance hai, administration hai, panchayati raj institutions hai. maybe influence of the past political leaders हैं, ठीक है? The evolution and growth of, now see, when I say evolution and growth of a rural settlement, what are the elements will you talk about? Elements will be what type of land use pattern? Checkered board pattern है, circular pattern है, याद आ रहा है कुछ अभी? Circular city, town, village है, checkered board city है. Are they dispersed settlements? Are they concentrated clustered settlements? Are there ribbon-like settlements? So if a city has been historically along a river, a city has been historically along a road, a city is a village is in the hill areas with areas of low economic productivity. अगर agriculture occupations हैं, rectangular grid-like, याद आ रहा है आपको? So land use patterns and morphology is one. ठीक है? Second is what is the village composition? वो part of morphology है, growth evolution में, social composition. So यहाँ पर historical आ जाता है, whether they are ancient towns, they are medieval villages, are they temple towns? Kashinath? In what is Professor Kashinath model? I don't remember.
Like from caste segregation.
Oh, okay, fine. ठीक है. From starting from social segregation towards economic segregation. Yes, absolutely you can. You can, yes. So land use patterns, morphology of land use, type of plots, roads, the shape of settlements, the social segregation of settlements. ठीक है? अच्छा, उसके बाद historical factor में what also matters is the proximity of the village to a city. कितना दूर है, कितना पास है. Okay. So उसमें economic factors में आ जाएगा the influence of the urban shadow, the influence of the rural-urban fringe. Okay. The rural areas can have elements of urban development. They can have elements of urban land use. Okay. Proximity with the urban areas can decide land costs. The land cost can decide what type of rural development has happened. Is it agriculture based? Is it cereal or say grain farming? Is it market gardening? And that decides what type of rural development. Okay? Take up any example of a village around Delhi. Maybe take up any whatever village you know of आपके area में, because village का नाम तो मैं नहीं बता पाऊंगा unless it's my own local area. Whatever you know, pick up that example and tell how these factors have influenced. You can take up any location of the northeastern part, hill areas, and tell us how the village develops there, the morphology develops there, economically and so on. ठीक है? अब इसका structure बताओ. What can the structure be? Evolution and growth of, see, one element of growth of rural settlements is a compact settlement can now become dispersed. ये big type of growth ही है. That can be because of maybe road connectivity developing. There can be dispersed settlements and now they are getting compact. ये सब आपको पता है, you have all read all of this. Why will a dispersed settlement become compact? Because of development of certain modern amenities. Maybe कोई village market बन गया, maybe a school has come up, maybe a bus stop has come up. Economic elements हैं. Hill areas में हम देखते हैं. Water can be very important issue. Water availability. So when I say growth and development of rural areas, growth and evolution, so it includes 3-4 elements. How has the compactness changed is one. How has the shape changed is one. How has the social segregation changed is one. And what are the elements of morphology? What type of land use? These 4 elements हैं to talk about growth and evolution of rural areas. And इसमें modern times का डाल देना. In recent times, there is urban to rural migrations. There is gentrification of rural areas where urban populations are displacing the rural areas in some ways. Urban sprawl areas में होता है, fringe areas में होता है, ठीक है? And ultimately such urban areas, such rural areas, they converted into urban areas. ये end में लिख देना. So how do you start? The structure of your answer. The first part is any settlement, rural हो या urban है, they're all dynamic systems. Any settlement, rural or urban, are dynamic entities. They grow and they change in time because of various factors. They grow and they change in time because of various factors. Okay. Some of the elements of rural growth and evolution, some of the elements of rural growth and evolution are, number one, change in the degree of compactness. Change in the degree of compactness. Number two, change in the shape of the rural settlement. Change in the shape of rural settlement. Number three, changes in land use patterns. Changes in land use patterns. Number four, changes in social structure and social composition. Social structure and social composition. Elements of infrastructure में changes होते हैं, ठीक है? So rural areas are dynamic. These are the 5 things how a rural area changes. Next point. Okay. Most rural areas, okay, or give a heading like historical factors. Historical factors. So many rural areas have a long ancient history. Okay. They must have started off as small hamlets, development because of some advantages like water availability, proximity with river, maybe land fertility. The initial rural areas can either be dispersed if they are in the areas of low land productivity, they can be dispersed, फैले होंगे, spread out होंगे. The hill areas में है, poor fertility areas में है, okay, or they can be compact if the areas of fertile land, high density population. Most villages with very old histories, generally develop as compact settlements. They develop as compact settlements. Many of the villages along the border regions, because of security, many villages along the border regions because of security can also develop as compact settlements. The Rajasthan areas mein, Malwa regions mein, Bundelkhand areas mein, villages, they are compact settlements. Okay. Next, in time and in history, with development of roads, development of connectivity, they can become compact or semi-dispersed. They can become compact and they become semi-dispersed. The typical of the settlements of the northern plains. ठीक है, historical बता दिया आपको मैंने. Old cities हैं, they were small. Okay, they can become compact. History areas of defense and so on. The second point. Okay, rural evolution and growth also depends on proximity with the urban settlements. Proximity with the urban settlements. The rural evolution depends on its stage. It depends on its stage with respect to its status in the rural-urban fringe. Status in the rural-urban fringe. आपको याद है आरपी मिश्रा का मॉडल जो है? Initially it is okay, extensive farming. There's change in the crop type. There's change in occupational pattern. There is change in the urban land. याद आ रहा है आपको ये वाला? ये भी part of development ही तो है. A rural area depends on what stage of rural-urban fringe it is in, because it decides the land price. R.P. Mishra's rural-urban fringe model. Dekho, guys, if some of you have problem because you have not done the classes with me, my suggestion is please buy those notes and flip through. Okay, quite a bit should be common content, but एक बार आप revise कर लेंगे तो आप जान लेंगे. Yes, so that's one. Okay, so that is one factor. This urban fringe जो है, this is more of an economic thing. Land use rates, it's about the proximity with urban areas, so market, it depends on what type of investments come in, and slowly when the fringe area comes under urban governance, it comes under urban administration, वो political भी बन जाए, ठीक है? उसके बाद next, the morphology of a village and its growth, also depends on elements of social diversity. There is social segregation based on occupations, based on caste, based on religion, which impacts how rural areas expand. For example, generally, the less privileged lower castes living along the rural peripheral areas, they disperse out faster. So agar ye village hai and these are the high income groups, more influential population, maybe these are the less privileged caste groups. तो तो जब roads बनेंगी, these guys will move faster. The city which was this now has evolved into a town like this. So the less privileged classes, they will expand faster along the roads. और यहाँ पर जब आपका urban economy आएगा, these populations tend to get the first jobs. Okay, the social segregation, part of historical thing, can influence the rural expansion and growth. And these rural central regions, these can become crowded, these can have congestions. Okay, in fact, you can add here that this growth pattern is typical for most of the towns of India. This growth pattern is typical for most of the towns of India, because most towns of India are overgrown villages. Because most towns of India are overgrown villages. All done? And the answer that in recent times, rural growth and development has been influenced by rural development policies. And programs. Write few lines on integrated rural development program, the elements of road connectivity, rural areas as rural industries, acquisition of rural areas for urban expansion. Think of Gurgaon, acquisition of rural areas for urban expansion. Okay? And these are the villages that ultimately become the suburban areas. Think of Noida, think of Greater Noida. The village area called as Jewar because of the airport, Jewar village. आपको वही map of Delhi, Noida, Greater Noida, show the Yamuna Expressway. Okay, so these are examples of economic and also political reasons how a village can change. Fine. So I think with this, कल और आज मिलाकर I think आपका 10-12 question हो गया on settlements, right? And I've tried touching on all topics of settlements. Yeah, fine then. So that's about it for today.